you run a vegan restaurant in the Westlands. Yeah, the Soul Vegan. And I tested the vegan pizza. It was pretty good. Yeah, and so I think a part of it is that we don't have institutions and places that are dedicated to this, that people can go and actually try it out and see for themselves how it is.
And I think too that, it's some of it is, Africa has been, not just Africa, but I think, most of the world today have been structured in such a way that we support the pharmaceutical industry, we support industries that are built around sick people. So the dietary consciousness and the education we're given, even at the elementary level in school, is so that we are raised to become part of that food chain, if I said like that, because some of these institutions will not flourish and prosper without sick people. So if you're teaching people to be healthy, if you're teaching a child that a balanced diet can actually be achieved completely from a plant source, some of them would be out of business. If you taught people that most of the times you have a headache, you probably dehydrated and you need some water, and if you put a little bit of salt and maybe a sweetener in a glass of water, it will rehydrate you quickly. And the best way to go is to get some madafu or coconut water, that you don't really need an aspirin. So some of these things can be quite provocative in terms of raising these issues. But I think it's time to wake up the people. So we shake quite a bit, a lot of systems, and not going out to wage war against everything and everybody who exists, but so much so we want to first protect our people. And we think it's time that our people wake up to realize, hey, look, if I eat, I can get more protein from avocados than I can get from any kind of meat. Just some basic truths. Your skooma is spinach full of vitamin C and calcium and everything, and so much of what you need. That doing some sesame seeds, what you call sum here. It's so full of calcium, and if you go through the list of spirulina, even though a lot of us, even myself, are multi-distributing CMOS, that CMOS has like 96 minerals, and that you can actually, versus eating lower vibrational food, we eat higher vibrational food, and then for supplements, if you need some after getting the right, depending on what you have access to, then you can tap into the spirulinas and the sea mosses, and even some of the nettle, which is available all over Kenya, even stinging nettle powder. And one of the kings, I say, in the green that is available all over Kenya in a powdered form is moringa. Moringa is like a king among the greens. Super food. So if you want to take supplements versus trying to supplement a bunch of processed chemical things to give your children or for your family's health and all of that, everybody take moringa. Take a spoonful of moringa in some water every day and see what it does to you. Hit some sea moss 3 days a week and see the difference. And with that, stay hydrated, drink enough water, do some sort of exercises, keep your body flexible. That's what the big animals in the wild do. You see, they walk around and stretch all day. They stretch, they exercise, they're always moving their bodies. And those are some things that we need to get back to, if you ask me.
Absolutely. And I think a big part of it is, we grew up thinking that eating animal products is like class level. It's a high class. So if your family used to eat like meat frequently, that means you, in a hierarchy of, being rich, you're sort of in the upper echelon than people who eat, for example, vegetables most of the time. So I think that's also part of the mentality that needs to be changed or shifted in terms of eating purely vegan food.
It's true, because I remember speaking to my grandmother when, as a child growing up, and because we ate a lot of meat in Antigua, and my parents had a supermarket, and we had so I had access to a lot of things. I remember my grandmother, who grew up in the village, who eats like 90% vegetables anyway, and grown provision. She said, "You guys are so lucky." She said, "You guys eating good food. Y'all have access to everything." He said, "Your father, they came up poor. They had to eat all the grown provision and the greens and whatever she grew. And they had a little bit of broth that they had to share. One small piece of meat that they had to share across him and his 5 siblings. And my father had freezers full with pork chops, lamb chops, steak, you name it. We had everything. And a sad testimony I have to that is that I lost both parents. They both passed at 62 years old. My grandmother, who considered herself poor because of how she had to live for so many years, she lived to over 100 years old. So the misconception again about so many things, poverty and wealth, what's healthy and what's not. because when you have access to eating so much meat, and then the other side, the cost we pay in terms of the diet, the health depletion, so it's serious. And I think more than anything else, the battle now is to plant new seeds and to build new minds, to let them to change the mentality, to wake our people up to realizing what's good and what's not.